The government of Park Chung-hee was really the government of Korea that set the industrialization, the industrial project in motion. And to do that, he realized that he had a problem on his hands. So the chaebol leaders were notorious for being extremely corrupt, for running bribes, creating monopolies, basically doing whatever they could in this Wild West country where it had been lawless, it had been devastated by war, and he had to find a way to at least try to unify them somewhat, get them together into this nation-building project he had in mind. A lot of his thinking was inspired by his time working for the Japanese military. In particular, he was a soldier in Manchuria, which is today northeast China, when Japan was expanding across Asia in World War II. And he saw the success that Japan had in deploying and making use of massive industrial conglomerates to build Japan into an empire that, despite the war, had the respect of countries all over the world, had the respect in terms of its size and its power and its ability to stand on its own 2 feet. And so he realized that his problem was that these chaebol groups were simply just so notorious for corruption, and they couldn't be trusted. They were seen as selfish barons who were just bilking the public, bilking their consumers, just running off with greed and money. It's kind of like a Wall Street scenario. And so he started using this tactic of bringing corruption charges against them, white-collar crime, telling them that they've been evading taxes, that they have to pay up. And the purpose of this wasn't always to put them in prison and to, get them in line, but simply to carry that big stick, to walk around and to say, oh, you're Samsung, oh, you're Hyundai, we have dirt on you, and then to whack them, get them back into line, get them back into this nation-building project, and making sure that they weren't getting too out of control. And the subtle agreement was that as long as they didn't get too out of control, they could engage in their own backdoor dealing, and they could engage in some shady profiteering deals. The other thing was that I think that Park Chung-hee made a devil's deal. He hated the idea of a family dynasty running a major corporation that has so much influence over the country itself, but he had to submit to that idea. He had to say, look, we can let you can pass these groups onto your family members. You can keep your hereditary rule as long as you follow the rules and as long as you partake in my nation-building project. And these are the unique factors, these circumstances, these political decisions that led to this really unique chaebol system today in Korea, where leaders are constantly in and out of prison, in and out of the courts. I did my own count of the top chaebol leaders, and at least half of the top leaders of the 10 biggest chaebol groups in Korea are convicted criminals. They've been convicted of crimes. They've been convicted of tax evasion, bribery, various corruption scandals. There was one case at a chaebol group about 10 years ago when a man kidnapped he kidnapped a business rival who had been in a feud with his son and was involved in the kidnapping, and wielded a steel pipe at him after this alleged kidnapping, telling him not to mess with his family, not to mess with his company. Just as I was researching this book and as I was reporting on Korea, getting deeper into the chaebol world was like going down the rabbit hole, because it just gets so strange and dark, and it's full of corruption schemes and family hereditary disputes. It really is a Game of Thrones story, or it's really very much like HBO's Succession, and that's what I found so fascinating and book-worthy about this topic.